Warning, Pro Tri News is a podcast with different opinions, knowledge and possibly fake news about triathlon racing. This is not for the faint of heart. If you get offended or hurt by what is said, please stop listening and go listen to some uplifting meditation music or just go work out, then try again.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Pro Tri News. I'm joined by Pat and Mark today. Talbot's some time in LA at the PTO Pro Am race, and then Chelsea's running the Beta Breakers 12K in San Francisco. So, Pat and Mark, how you guys doing?
Massive weekend of triathlon, right? I looked at the preview for the show today, and I was kind of like, I maybe should have set aside 2 hours. We've got a lot to recap and even more, I would say, to forecast into next weekend. So I can't waste time. We got to get into it.
Yeah, it's a massive weekend. There's a lot of little races, but actually between them, they've pretty much soaked up all the best athletes in the world racing one place or another. So yeah, let's get into it, I reckon.
Well, before we get started, I'm going to give a shout out to Inside Tracker. Inside Tracker's sponsoring our episode this week, and we partner with them for the next several weeks. Inside Tracker analyzes your blood, DNA, and fitness tracking to give you an optimized data on what it's like to be a next level athlete. It's super easy to get your blood analysis done. You simply go to insidetracker.com/pro-tri-news, fill out the information, and then you can either choose to go to a clinic near you, or they have like a truck that will come to your house, get your blood samples, send it off to their experts, and then in a few days you'll get your biometrics. And you can go to the app and see like where you're slacking, how your body's reacting to training, things like that. I did it a couple weeks ago, and it was super simple, super easy. Was able to go and get it done before work. So
where are you slacking, Kyle? What's going on with your blood? Tell us about you.
Apparently, I have very high cortisol levels, which is attributed to stress. So
me and Pat are not remotely surprised by that.
Might be a combination of trying to be an age group triathlete / work a 40, 50-hour work week at a job, plus family life, and I guess a podcast kind of adds a little bit to the stress. But
now, Kyle, what is your real age?
My real age is 20. My real age is 30, but according to the app, it's 29 and a half is my inner age.
Unbelievable.
So this is blood testing and doing basics of blood work is something that actually I think most pros probably do. There's a lot of fads out there that sell to age group athletes, and there's a lot of stuff that the pros actually mostly do. I know Kat does hers through some, but I'm not sure I dare. I don't want to know what mine is, but Kat's now making me do it because actually it's a really good stimulus tool to try and make some better decisions, I think.
Yeah. It was pretty cool because I've always wondered what goes on inside my body and how I react and things like that. And I've always kind of pushed, when I do hard track workouts and stuff, you get the sensation that you have kind of low iron and things like that. And that kind of further solidified that my iron is on the lower end in my body. And so it was cool to kind of see what else goes on in your body that you don't really know about. So
it's a cool sponsor. I'm glad we've got a product that we actually all are genuinely behind. And I think that's what we set Pat quite a hard challenge. Find us a sponsor that we all actually believe in. And between the five of us, you had a pretty small list to work with. So it's cool. Well done, mate. And thank you, Inside Tracker, as well.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into the racing from this last weekend. We had WTCS Yokohama was probably first on the list. We had a Friday night race in the USA. So I was trying to stay awake for the men's race. Kind of fell asleep a little bit on the bike because it was, it was a little boring having 40 men in a bike pack, in my opinion. But no shortage of excitement.
Yeah, it wasn't the most exciting bike course, was it? I didn't think. I thought it was a little drab on the bike.
I'm going to say it. I'm so sick of these 180s.
Yeah.
They just I did a criterium yesterday here in Boulder. And I thought about what would it be like if we put a 180-degree dead turn into this thing, and it saps so much momentum from the group. If I I'm going to say it. If I could just tweak these courses a little bit and remove it, and in the case like they could have taken out that first when you come out of transition, you make a left and you go down to the 180, which is traditional the way they've always done the course. If you just had an immediate right hand turn and we got rid of these additional 180s, you could probably shrink the course to 2.5 or 3K. That's still a 4-minute lap. If you're 4 minutes down on the bike, you're out of the race anyway. So the lapping out piece for a WTCS race, I think, it's not an issue for me, because if you're 4 minutes down off the bike, you're out of the race anyway. So I think then all of a sudden you're more visible on the bike, because now you're doing 12, 13, 14, 15 laps over the 40K. And I think it's a direction that the sport needs to go. And then obviously the other thing too is the average speed on the bike is higher, because you're not going to 10K an hour for these turns. So you get the bike done with quicker, which is what we all kind of want anyway.
Yeah, and I think it just stems from like some flawed philosophy. I don't know, what was it, maybe 10 years ago, that racing is harder when you make a technical bike course that slows things down. And the idea of bringing it in was to try and break up the bike course. Those in the know sort of said at the time that won't work.
That's right.
But it's kind of like we've done this experiment enough now. It's not working. Can we just go back to some really fast, ripping, flowing racing? Like if you've got a hill to bring in, now that breaks the bike course up.
Yeah.
But if you haven't, like just keep the speed super high, etc. Yeah.
But there's never been, it's like out of all the criteriums I've done over my life, there's never, like, obviously if there's a course with a hill, that's going to break it up. But I've done plenty of races that were flat rectangles that you can get a breakaway to lap the field. You can do all, like, the dynamics really change. And you might have a weird section where there's headwind in the section that you thought was going to break the race, so it stays together that time. But the weather should dictate the dynamics. And these courses that look benign, that's not necessarily how they're going to race.
And like we saw some crashes on the course as well, didn't we? There was particularly in the women's racing that was slightly more. There was a couple of like riding into the back, which was slightly unfortunate for a couple of athletes. But then they're just sliding out on these oily city centre roads on a 180 corner in the wet. Like, it's bike skill and maybe tire pressure and all that sort of stuff. But it's also just like a thing that do you need to, because these athletes have to practice this as well, right, Pat? Like these ITU athletes then spend their time practicing lots of 180 dead turning. That's got to get tedious. But we're being really negative. Both races were really good.
Yeah.
I will say that is one reason why I really like the Arzachena race in Italy is it has that massive hill for the draft legal racing, and it makes it really exciting.
Same as Kitzbühel had that one as well. Like that's really cool.
So we can run through the women's race. First place, Georgia Taylor Brown. We saw her kind of freaking throttle that first 5K run, pull back a little bit to the group of 5, and then throttled again the last about 2.5K. So she seems to be on really good form right now. Second place, Leonie Perret from France. And then third place, Flora Duffy. Flora is also racing this coming weekend at 70.3 Chattanooga. So you kind of have to wonder, did she kind of hold back a little bit? Yeah. It's a lot of trouble.
She won't have held back in the World Cup race because she's doing Chattanooga. I think she just lacked a bit of like spark that you expect from Flora. And then we also had Emma Lombardi in 4th and Maya Kingma, who's been consistent, coming in 5th. Taylor Knibb took 6th, didn't she? She didn't look dominant. Like she didn't really look dominant on the bike. It took her a little while to get there. I don't know. It didn't look like Taylor was really that sparky either. But did anyone think, like, as soon as the run started, it was Georgia? Even when she got caught again, I was pretty sure Georgia was going to win. She just looked great.
It looked really good. Yeah, I agree. And I think, what's cool about ITU obviously was that, it was down. We were inside 2 miles to go and there was a group together and we weren't really sure, even though obviously Georgia Taylor Brown looked amazing, but it was just, I thought it was great to just see that shoulder to shoulder racing again on the run. And we've been looking and watching so many long course races that I kind of forgot, that it is this, it is a much different format and it yields wins in a much different manner than what we've been accustomed to seeing the last few months.
Yeah. And you've got it. I mean, Leonie Perrault must be taking a lot away from that. That's a great way to start the season for an athlete that, she's a successful ITU athlete, but she doesn't normally beat Flora Duffy. So that's got to be a massive result for her. I thought it was a really exciting women's race. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Georgia's got to be looking forward to that Duffy showdown in the Commonwealth Games later as well.
And I'm sorry, was Yokohama marked again as the first race that opened up Olympic points qualification again?
I believe that's what Chelsea had
Oh,
mentioned.
yeah.
So,
I think Chelsea said that. Yeah.
So, to think about, there's obviously a lot of racing between now and when the window closes, but to think that
No. It's the day after this race was what she said. She said it's the day after this race.
All right. Sorry.
So it'll be Leeds then, will it?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
But to think that that's already starting again is crazy.
And the men's was, I mean, if not more exciting, I thought.
Yeah, I know.
With Alex Yee taking the win, Hayden Wild in third, Leo Berger in fourth, Matt Hauser in fourth, and then Pierre Lecour in fifth. Good shout from the Frenchman, but Yee knew he had the kick, it looked like, and he just sat on Wild. And I think Wild knew that Yee had the kick, so he continuously attacked him, ran from the front, tried to get Yee to come through a couple of times, and Yee quite rightly went, nah, mate. And then had an amazing kick in the last sort of 500.
I hope that we get to just see these two just beat each other up the next 3 years. I'm really happy that we're just getting to witness all these great performances, and these two dudes. Hats off to them. Like they're something special for the sport right now, and I think it's just great.
And they're just such phenomenal runners, but they're also especially Yee's slightly less prolific socially, but he's a lovely guy. And Hayden's a fun character to have part of the sport. They've both got Paris is well within their performance horizon to be better than they've ever been in Paris. Yeah. And then you've got Leo Berger, he's dabbled his foot in some middle distance racing, done really well, excellent result in Lanzarote. And we had a DNF, didn't we, out of Vincent Louis. He just pulled up on the run. Yeah, that was interesting. Martin Van Riel just never really showed in the race. So we had some massive names that we, didn't even, feature.
Yeah, it was a bummer. I think the best thing to come out of the weekend was whenever Alex Yee was running through the aid station and then hands the water bottle back to Hayden Wild. I thought it was great, classy sportsmanship.
And you saw it in the women's as well. Georgia Taylor Brown offered bottles to women that weren't close. She checked they didn't need one. It's just great to see, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Kyle, can we just touch on maybe the hot take that you were hitting the text thread on?
Which one was that? I was hitting the text thread a lot.
You're not a fan of the new USA suits, and
man, the new USA suits are brutal.
So I thought they looked great. I'm just confused why they're pink. That had to be a malfunction with the printer, that they wanted to do a deep red, and for some reason they came off pink. That has to be a mistake.
It has to be
the same suit that Taylor Nibb's wearing.
Yes.
Oh, I thought that was a sponsored suit, and she had gone with a raspberry sort of.
No, it's a federal. No, for these WTCS races, Mark. Yeah. You have to have you don't have to use what the federation provides, but it has to match the theme. It has to be the same. And when I saw the theme, I did not see pink. So clearly it has to be something went wrong. I don't know. I thought the pink was kind of cool, but it's surely it's not traditional, red, white, and blue.
And something must have happened because both, I think it was Kevin McDowell and I'm blanking on the USA women athlete, but both of them had to wear the Triathlon Live branded kits because something had happened with their kit not being approved, or it was Eric Ackerland. Their kit either not being approved or something had happened with their kits arriving. So
which suggests, like you're saying, Pat, that to me sounds like late kit production, doesn't it? Okay. You've got a dodgy color on the half of them, and then two of them can't race in their own kit. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a very different kit for the USA in Leeds.
That's just crazy. So anyway, well, TBD on that.
Herbalife this weekend. We had today.
Yeah, today just finished up. It was a really good race. I think there was a little bit of confusion on it being a PTO race or a PTO funded race. So just to make sure everyone understands, the PTO put up the money for this race and kind of hosted the Pro-Am relay within the race. And so that was their whole basis behind it, was streaming the relay side of the race. And a lot of people were a little upset on the YouTube live stream that we weren't getting to see the pro men and pro female race. So
that's why. Got it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So the celebrity race, it had a Challenge Athletes Foundation athletes do the swim, and then it was a pro triathlete do the bike, and then a celebrity or a challenged athlete doing the 10K run. So first place was Lionel Sanders' team, second place Daniel Backergaard's team, and third place Sam Long's team. And I have to say, I was chatting with Erin Sanders after the race, and she was texting me, and she was like, "Did Lionel have the fastest bike?" And I was like, "Yes." Of the pro men as well, had the fastest bike. I think Lionel said he was going to go full send, so I'll fill in for Talbot and be the Lionel Sanders cheerleader for today.
The Lionel Sanders hype man.
Yeah, exactly. So phenomenal race by him. I think he's going to go back and do maybe 70.3 Mont Tremblant is next on the horizon for him. But let's get into the pro men and women's race. Pro man, the winner was Jamie Riddle. Him and Eric Lagerstrom kind of got off to a hot start on the swim and then didn't really look back from there. Came out of transition almost together and then ran together through about 3K of the run. And then I believe Jamie kind of started dropping the hammer. Third place was Steve McKenna. And fourth place, I believe, was Jason West. So big shouts to them. It was also a very big payday. It paid to 15 deep. So shout out to Roddy Webster, who got 15th, taking home $500. First place took home $9,000. So huge paychecks for the race.
For a short race. Though.
Yeah.
Shout out to Eric Lagerstrom.
Yeah.
Really found some consistency. And I know that's something that he's, not always been able to nail down. But it seems like every time that there's a race now this year that he's in, we're talking that he was a contender. So really cool.
Really cool to see him win one. Yeah, I really want to see him win one. He seems to be knocking on the door of a big win again, which I can't remember when he last had like a really solid win. And it'd be great to see because he's kind of the king of being the other half, the media man, the YouTuber. And it's easy. And I've forgot multiple times that he's a really very good athlete. And it'd be cool, for him to see him win one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's always out of the front, up at the front of the race because he's
swims
a great
well.
swimmer. Yeah.
And that's commendable, isn't it?
Yeah. So that was exciting. The women's race was equally as exciting. Victoria Lopez take away for the win, and then second place Amy Sloan, and third place Amelia Watkinson. So it's really crazy to see them shut down like massive streets in LA because it's such a big city that they're able to pull that off. So
it sort of brings into the profile of the sport point I wanted to make. Like, I saw the PTO post about Paul Felder, the UFC fighter that Lionel raced with, right? And he's a big celebrity and a big celebrity sportsman. And seeing him in videos say, the only way I really knew the sport and understood it and got into it was because I started following Lionel. And then I learned about the sport and the numbers from that. It kind of humbled me a little bit in my appreciation of what those kind of channels do. They make a lot of money for the individual, first and foremost, obviously. But then what they do for the sport in the background is actually quite beneficial to the sport in general. And I found that quite commendable that is actually, it made me realize that is actually the avenue that people are getting into the sport from. It's cool.
I've done a postmortem on St. George, Mark, and I've been asked by a lot of people, where do you think triathlon is at right now? And I said, look, I don't know from the numbers side of it where it's at, but I know from what I'm seeing and feeling and hearing is that, the investment that's been made into personalities in this sport is capturing new eyeballs and making people excited. And so, that's just to further your point and to say the same thing, but it's I think triathlon's having a moment right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because one was irking me, and it's not a dig at your boy; it's a dig at comments of people that don't understand. And Kat was on it. So that Lionel series, the athletes on Lionel's channel, thought wicked, brilliant videos, and I realise now how good they are in general for the sport. The ones that irked me, right, are the hardcore Lionel fanboys, which I know I am secretly one, but whatever. Is Lionel and Talbot, look how selfless and magnanimous you are, what you're doing for other athletes to promote them. I want to be like, they get paid for this. Like each of these videos makes them good money. Let's not pretend there's that in the background. But then I think to myself, like, actually, that's how people get into the sport, and that's how they hear about these other athletes. Like, Lionel has such a huge following that they make a couple of grand off it. It's pennies for Lionel, but actually, no, these things make like they really improve our sport. Yep. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
What have we got?
Well,
next?
you guys want to get into the racing for this weekend? We got 3 70.3s, technically 4, I guess, and then Ironman Lanzarote. So let's get into 70.3 Marbella. We have a $30,000 prize purse, 2 slots for the men, 2 slots for the women to 70.3 World Championships.
Sorry, I've just looked up the stat, right? Pat, do you know how many views the part 2 of the Ironman World Championships Facebook video got?
Yeah, 100 and I don't know, but I know it on YouTube.
3.4 million on Facebook.
Yeah.
Part 1 had 632,000 views. Part 2 had 3.4 million.
Yeah, it's
like Texas got 50,000.
No, I mean obviously it's it goes to another level, and that's not including what they were doing on YouTube as well. So I think, I mean, look, I think, like I said, I think triathlon is on the uptick, and we're having a moment, and we're amongst it, and we'll see, if that leads to more race entries or just people just watching the sport like your traditional, stick and ball sports in America, right?
Yeah. So, sorry, Kyle, back to Marbella, 70.3, 30K prize purse. Athletes tipping up. There's a few.
Yeah, just a couple. I would say Nikki Bartlett and Line Thams for the women's race are probably the 2 biggest names. And the men's race, Chris Leiferman and George Goodwin and Bradley Weiss are probably the 3 big names for that.
I'm guessing George Leiferman's going to it because I think he has a BMC team camp in Mallorca the week after. So he's probably just using it, if he's racing it, as a chance to couple his traveling. And I listened to your show last week. I listened to a couple of other shows last week where I think Tim Hemming credited Brad Culp with saying that Chris Leiferman's the USA's best long-distance triathlete. He just doesn't tell you about it. But it was actually me that said that, so I want credit for that. Chris Leiferman's great. George Goodwin's been a little bit off form recently.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Chris bag another win after that awesome 4th place in St. George. The women's race, I mean, from the names you've got there, it's not the hottest field. Melanie Bauman's a good athlete. Nikki's a good rider. Yeah.
It'll be all right. Next race, we have 70.3 PTO in the south of France. 2 slots for that, $30,000 prize purse. Barbara Riveros and Annie Reichman are probably the 2 biggest women's names. For the men, Arthur Horseshoe, Clement Mignon, Will Menson. Arnold Gilo's on a couple different start lists, so it'll be interesting to see which one he turns up to. And Matthias Larry and Will Monday. So
I love that you've put Will Monday on there. He's an old mate in the sport. He's an English lad that's been a sort of a UK domestic pro for quite a long time. Yeah, it just shows the depth that the number of races we got this weekend, because 30K is a normal prize pot field. But yeah, Anna Reichman's my favourite athlete there, I think.
Yeah. Will Menson coming off a victory at Challenge, the Challenge race.
The Challenge race. Let's just call it that.
Yeah. It was a challenge. So Ironman Lanzarote is also next, $20,000 prize purse. So lower than both the 70.3s. That's kind of strange to me. So I
Matthias Pettersson probably, but it's
or
Mickey
Ivan
Wise.
Girage. Yeah, Ivan
Yeah,
Girage.
true. The thing about this race, right, is I always wished it had 100 grand, 150 grand prize pot because it's a super hard course on an island that's obsessed with triathlon. It would be great if this drew, because you remember Jan went here. Like Jan's raced this back in the day. Like this used to be a wicked high profile, one of the big Ironman races, and just because of the prize money and the time in the year, you're not getting great names to this. But if you win this, you win Ironman Lanzarote, and it's one of the big races. So
yeah, this is, I mean, Mark, this is what we've talked about, right? With the schedule having essentially 5 big championships this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then now this will be an opportunity for someone that presumably is not Kona qualified for October 2022's race. And what kind of opportunities can they snag right now?
I actually didn't check, and I'm not asking the question because I don't expect you guys to. Is it 1 slot on each side here with maybe 1 floating? So it won't have a lot of slots. So you're going to kind of have to win this, I think, or be a man maybe to get second to bag a Kona slot here. But yeah, you're right. Like, but also there's the profile associated, isn't there? Being a pro.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you win here or you get yourself on a podium and you're one of these athletes like Lydia Dant that people don't know, then it's worth it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Challenge Championship in Samorin, Slovakia.
Yeah, this
at
is
the X-Bionosphere. This is a fun race. This race is going to be streamed live on YouTube, also on Challenge's website. There's a $100,000 prize purse for this race. It normally draws some big names. Let's start with the women's race. We have Lucy Buckingham, formerly Lucy Hall, Emma Pallant-Brown, who's coming off some hot wins, Lisa Norden, Fenella Langridge.
Well, not hot wins.
Not
she doesn't
hot
tend
wins.
to win when it's hot, like moderate temperature wins.
Moderate wins. Moderate wins. That was good.
Hot performances, mind you. She's flying.
Sarah Perez Sala, Ash Gentle, and Sarissa DeVries. So, of the women,
that's a great field. Let's hope though that Lisa Norden and Fenella and that go the right way. This is when they ended up hottailing it the wrong way down the highway last year. So let's hope they've done a course recce.
Yeah, but big money on the line there. So good to see a good, strong start list for the men. This will be an interesting name that a lot of people are excited about. Gustav Eden is making his return after being sick at the Ironman World Championship in St. George. Also, we have Freddie Funk, Kyle Smith, Josh Amberger, Yorick Van Egdam, who is a world champion at the short course athlete that he's kind of making his way to the longer stuff. Colin Chartier, Mickey Tagholt, Maurice Clavel, I believe, stepped off the start list. So did Max Newman. So a lot of athletes were on this list that probably won't be there on race day just because of racing the Ironman World Championship in St. George. So if I mentioned some names that they're obviously not there, I apologize.
Can we do some picks?
Yeah, you want to do picks?
Mark, is that okay?
Yeah, I do. I was trying to get a full list because I wanted to pick some outsiders because I'm not sure some of these will turn around that well after races. But yeah, let's go picks. You guys go first, if you don't mind. I'm going to keep perusing this long list.
Kyle, you start.
I'm going Ash Gentle for the win. I don't think anyone's been in her league already this season, so I think that she's just going to absolutely obliterate the field. It might be close with Emma Pallant-Brown, her coming into form. It depends, I think, on, as Mark said, how hot it is on race day. That will determine how she does.
Should be fine over here.
Yeah, Lucy Buckingham probably for third place. She'll be at the front of the race from the swim and the bike. And then Amelia Watkinson, I don't know if she is going to be there after racing in LA, then I'm going to bag her for my bonus pick.
So I think she has good reason, from what I hear, to be over in Europe for her next bout of traveling in about 3.5 weeks' time or so. So I wouldn't be surprised if she's making the travel over, doing this race, and then doing her other stuff in Europe.
Yeah. So I think, Kyle, my picks were slightly different than yours, but very much the same. So I'm going to swap out. I'm going to say Emma Pallant-Brown for the win, just based on, it seems like she's on some great form right now. And really tough to bet against Ashley Gentle for second. Still thinking about her really dominant race win in Miami to start the year. And then, it always seems like Lucy Buckingham is going to be, given her swim and her bike strength. It's just hard not to pick her, always, if you're going to be a pretty safe pick in third or fourth, it seems.
I couldn't agree more. Like, if you want someone that you need, you've got to pick someone that will be on the podium. It's kind of Lucy these days. It's just so consistent. Yeah.
Exactly.
Her swim bike's excellent, and her run is normally solid. She's not a bad runner by any stretch of imagination.
Yeah, right.
So I'll go reverse. I'll take Lucy as well, third, because I think she's a really credible athlete. I think I'm going to go Emma Pallant for the win as well. Why not? I think she's just been on really good form, and I think she outruns. I think a fresh Emma Pallant actually outruns Ashley Gentle. And I think if the likes of Lisa and Fenella in that maybe race, then they get to her quick, maybe even swim with her, probably not. But at least she's at the front of the race. I think there's more of a pack here than we saw in Miami. And then I've got Ash Gentle third. Yeah, why not? Outsider, I don't know. Sarissa de Vries, why not? But yeah, I don't really have an outsider.
Nice. The men's race, it's going to be hard for me to bet against Gustav. I mean, the guy was one sick day away from winning a world championship, in my opinion. But
yeah, I agree. I mean, is he definitely racing this? Is that social media telling us this? Is he definitely?
No, I got insider information from.
In that case, I'm taking Gustav Eden for the win. Yeah, why not? Of course, I'm going to go Freddie Funk second though.
All right.
And I would say Carl Smith, but I think for most people that's a big ask on the half Ironman. I'll take Colin Chartier for third.
Whoa, that's a good shout right there. That's good. I'm going to go Josh Amberger for second. The guy I wouldn't say loves. The guy is always second place at the majority of his races. It just sucks that he's just up against all these strong athletes. So I'm going to go Josh Amberger for second. Third place, I'm going to go with Kyle Smith. Had some time to chat with him and kind of catch up in St. George and really like the
cool
guy.
Isn't he?
Yeah,
he's a cool guy. He's hard not to support.
A little bit more feelings in these picks than heart than brains, I believe. But my bonus pick, I'd probably have to say Freddie Funk. But I like your Colin pick.
I'm going to just be slightly different. I got Gustav for the win, no problems. Freddie Funk for second, and Mickey Tagholt in third.
I like that.
Because Freddie Funk can light this bike course up. Like there is borderline no one in the world that can ride with Freddie Funk when he starts to drill it. And
exactly,
if it's windy, because this exposed open highway, there's a chance that he rides clear of everyone and just rips it apart. So he's a no-brainer for me in the top three.
Yeah.
And we've still got another big race. Oh my God, I'm going down the list.
I know.
We've got Chattanooga as well, 70.3, 75 grand prize pot, 4 slots to the world. It's in hilly Tennessee. It's hot, it's humid. It's got a massive field again. And we have Flora Duffy racing.
Yeah.
This weekend's massive. Flora Duffy racing a 70.3 is always exciting. She's only done 1 or 2, hasn't she, in the past? They haven't actually gone great for her. She's been beaten. But Flora Duffy wins the women's race, doesn't she? I mean, that's saying she's got to beat Tamara Jewett, Holly Lawrence. She's got to beat Jackie Herring. There's loads of
I mean, the thing. So the reality is she's going to have. Obviously, she's going to push the swim, right? Mm-hmm. She's going to be under zero pressure and probably serve it up to everybody on the bike. The bike course is still really hard, and and then it's going to just have to be, how she feels for the last 5K of the half marathon. And maybe, how did she pull up, obviously it's running 10K is hard. It's a quick turnaround from Yokohama. It's not ideal, but I still I don't see this being something that it's not going to be too big of a bite for her.
But that turnaround from going Yokohama across to the USA is quite a long. Well, what's the time difference?
Mate, she's going to be flying business class. She'll have slept the whole way home. I mean, it's I don't want to understate it, but I don't want to say she's a pro and they will have looked over every detail, and it's just part of it. And they wouldn't sign up for it. She wouldn't sign up for this if they didn't think there was an opportunity to punch a ticket for 70.3 worlds.
Mate, it's an 11-hour time difference turning around in 1 week. But yeah, fair. she'll do it in the classiest way possible and make life as easy as possible for herself.
Yeah.
But and
It's
Holly
a lot-
Lawrence,
no, I mean-
did she not have a crash?
Holly
recently?
Lawrence, yeah, she crashed this last weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think her bike is actually broken. So, I mean, I'm hopeful that she's all right and not injured, but I don't know if she's going to be turning up for this one. Unless Trek's able to take care of her quickly in a quick time. So,
Yeah, Trek will be able to get her a bike.
Annie Basso is an interesting name as well. She's come from short course now to the longer course. So that'll be interesting to see how she turns up.
So I think if Holly turns up, Holly's the only person that can probably swim with Flora on a very good day. Holly needs to. She needs to be swimming like old Holly. Probably sits behind her on the bike and hopes to try and run with her. But it's Flora for me, Holly, and then maybe someone like Tamara Druitt running through the field. But actually, I'm going to go Jackie Herring third. So yeah, I'm going. I've just seen Paula Finley in your guesses.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, and I'm going Flora, Holly, and then Jackie Herring.
I'm
going to go.
Since Holly's injured.
I got Flora, Jackie, and I have Paula. But now you guys have me second guessing. What is? I thought Paula she's been going good, hasn't she?
Yeah, Paula's been doing great.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna stick with her for podium. You made me second guess. Mark.
I think her run is a bit of a question mark, but she's been running well the last couple of weeks. So,
mate, none of us picked Christian Blumenfeld or Daniela Rife to win the world champs. We haven't got.
I think we're all scared. I think we're all scared to make wrong
we
picks
just don't
now.
know what we're talking about. Like, I know I didn't do the after race show, but we're idiots. Like,
yeah.
So don't listen to us. Anyway, that's my picks for that race. Men's field, Rudy von Berg's exciting. Tim O'Donnell, I know you always got him up there because he's an American hero and legend, but I don't, 17.3 these days. He ain't racing with Ben Canute, Jason West, etc. Nick Chase is in there. You got Sam Long as the yo big train coming into town. Is he rolling in hot for this, or is this a question mark still?
That's a question mark. He's on the start list, but I mean, Sam, I had lunch with him when we were in St. George, and he's going to go spend 10 weeks in Europe. So I would be surprised if he turns up for this one. But crazier things have happened, Sam.
Yeah. In that case, I'm going Ben Canute for the win. Because I don't think we necessarily give him enough love on here, and he's always very, very consistent and brilliant. Ben Canute for the win, Rudy von Berg in second, and Jason West in third for me, I reckon.
This was really tough. I didn't realize how stacked this men's field was. I'm going to go Rudy von Berg for the win because I think he's going to have some, he's still got some fire in his belly from getting second or third or whatever place he got at Oceanside. And then I'm going to take Jackson Laundry for second.
Because you found out what his name was from Oceanside.
Exactly. I learned about him there. And then I'm like,
Me too.
I cannot decide between, I'm torn. I'm going to say Jason West in third, but I'm actually thinking it's going to be Ben Canute, just given how much fatigue. I'm going to switch it. I'm going to go Ben Canute third, and Jason West is my bonus. There's just, again, Ben feels to me he's just Mr. Consistency, and I don't ever feel good leaving him off of a podium. I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think that Ben learned his lesson in Oceanside by not swimming max flat out and getting rid of the likes of Jackson Laundry. So I think we'll see Ben swim absolute full tilt flat out and get rid of him the way that Eric Langerstrom and Steve McKenna and that did this weekend. Like, they've got it.
And something you can't forget is Ben Canute got second place at 70.3 Worlds on this course back in 2017. So Ben knows this course. He knows that they can't do what they did in Oceanside and let Jackson kind of hang on and ride with them. So I could foresee Ben kind of dropping the hammer, not only on the swim, but also on the bike. Yeah. And the run isn't easy either. I mean, it's a hilly run. There's a reason why this is the North American Championship for 70.3 this year. And it's because it isn't an easy course.
Ben, you don't forget.
And there's a current in the swim as well that you can't forget about.
And Ben was also second here at World Championships, and this is 2017. Is that right, Kyle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Ben Canute turns up and obliterates the field here. He kind of had a little bit of a sprint finish the last couple weeks at the St. Anthony race. Came away with third place, but I think Ben's got a little bit of a fire under his butt. So those are all great information. However, I think I've got to back Jason West for the win here. I think that he's gonna run through this field. It'll
Kyle,
be interesting
no,
it'll be interesting because Jason and Eric both raced this weekend at the Herbalife race.
He gets drops on the bike.
Yeah. I love Jason West. The bike course is just too hard.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know. I don't even want to make picks for this race because it's going to be such a massive field that you kind of have to back all the bikers. So
how can we watch? Is this race going to be on outside?
Yeah, so this will be on outside TV as well as I think when they're doing the outside TV stream, they might do a YouTube stream as a backup for all the people international to be able to watch the races. So
Cool.
Be sure to tune in to outside TV to be able to watch that race.
Great.
And we're on to hot takes, are we? We've thrown through this. It's amazing how efficient we can be without Talbot here.
Can I open the hot takes? I've got two.
Please. Oh, yeah, go on.
They're simple. Kyle, this new service that we're doing this podcast on, holy smokes, it's super pro.
You like it? We'll be on YouTube every week now. Now we'll be on YouTube every week.
I'd have whitened my teeth and all sorts if you told me I'd be on YouTube.
No, this is
for everyone. I'm dressed up. I go to a law graduation for my brother-in-law. I'm not dressed up for you guys. So
yeah, no, this is awesome. So obviously, I know we've had some issues lately with the audio. So thanks to the audience for bearing with us, because Kyle, that was driving you nuts with our previous hosting site. So we should be good now.
Yeah.
Second hot take, and this is just kind of more personal for the group, but we've moved our text thread to WhatsApp.
That's on that. I think that sounds like it was for me. Like Europeans, we don't use like Apple groups, and I think half of us don't have Apple phones. I do. We don't use Apple Chat for that. It was the only one I ever had open. It was so. Thank you for coming this side of the pond on WhatsApp.
Yeah, no, okay, we're there. Sorry, that's all.
Chelsea, that was Chelsea's idea. It wasn't my idea. I have WhatsApp, but Chelsea was like, "Why don't we do WhatsApp?"
All right,
like,
she's right. She's right.
All right.
Mine is, did you see the announcement of the men's sub-8 team, sub-7 teams for the men?
Yeah, did I see Alex Dowsett on that list?
Yeah, you did. I told you about this in the background, so nicely played. But, I mean, there's still a question mark over Alistair, I think. I'm not going to get too excited about it until we start to see something out of his camp. We don't know how ill he was. I'm not going to get carried away. I will get carried away with his team, mind you. So Christian's got a bunch of UK domestic time trialists, mostly led by Matt Bottrell and his gang doing all the research. Super good time trialists, but a lot of them amateurs. And they'll need to be very well drilled and coordinated if they're going to beat the firepower that is Alistair Brownlee's team. Now, if these names don't mean much to you, you probably don't follow cycling full stop. Because Alistair Brownlee has Alex Dowsett, who's won a Giro Prologue. He was the world hour world record holder, one of the UCI World Tour best time trialists. Incredible rider. Then he's got Dan Bingham in there, who is the technical director for Ineos and for their time trialing, aero pacing, previously of Jumbo-Visma, and himself is a top 5 all-time hour world record holder. And then they've got both Tanfield brothers, both of them recently ridden UCI World Tour riding, great time trialists. One of them's won a track World Cup gold. And then you've got Jez Archibald as well, second in the national time trials, UCI World Cup rider. It's an insane team. And I just don't see how, if Alistair's fit and he's riding on the back of that team, I don't see how Christians keep up with it. I just don't.
Yeah.
But it was just an interesting release for me. We haven't seen the women's yet. I'm looking forward to seeing theirs. Obviously,
I think you've already seen it. You're just ready for it to be announced.
No, I haven't seen Nicholas. So I'm intrigued.
Yeah. That'll be good. Well, be sure to tune into the racing this weekend. I don't have any other hot takes. So we'll wait for some racing this next weekend, and then I'm sure we'll have plenty of hot takes. We'll talk about PTO points next week.
Good idea. There's a lot to talk about there. There's people spouting off. Yeah, you're right. I was about to start talking about it. Let's just talk PTO points next week when this weekend settles.
Yeah. So, all right. Thanks, guys, for listening. Be sure to follow us also on YouTube, because now we are going to be putting some videos out there. So if you want to see our beautiful faces, if not, then Mark will continue to not whiten his teeth. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.